Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Kyle Long. This is Halas Hall, the home of the Chicago Bears, where I had the great privilege to be an offensive lineman. Come on in, I'll show you around. Now, the first thing you'll notice when you walk into the atrium here, the walls in this place are littered with history, such rich football history that you just can't ignore it. Right behind me, on the other side of that wall, is the team meeting room where we start the day, every day as a Chicago Bear. And when you walk into that room, you are met by all of the Hall of Fame inductees that came before us and played for the Chicago Bears. It's a really special place. If you like history and you love football like I do, this is heaven. As you work your way down the wall, you get closer and closer to where we are in time now, and you'll recognize a lot of the names and the faces on this wall. A place where we practice right across the field here is the Walter Payton Center, okay? And if you have any ounces of football fandom inside of you, you know that Walter Payton was one of the best that ever did it. Well, we get Walter Payton, all of his buddies up here. These are the recent Bears down there, obviously the guys who got it started for the NFL and the Chicago Bears. A really special place. And then obviously you turn here, you do a little quarter turn, and you're greeted by the vision, what you work for, what you're trying to build day in, day out. This is why you sweat and you beat the hell out of each other at practice, because you get the opportunity to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. Really special, and something that this Chicago Bears team has their eyes set on without a doubt. Now, I can't give you the honest Chicago Bears history lesson if I don't tip my cap and show respect to George Halas, the guy that started it all, the GSH, the patch that you see on the Chicago Bears jerseys. This is George Halas's building. This is his franchise, and it's one of my favorite things at Halas Hall, because you take somebody in here who knows the name George Halas and knows about the Chicago Bears, they might not know all of the history of George Halas, the way that this team was purchased and founded, the way that he coached and played for the Chicago Bears. This guy was installing plays and then going out there and showing his teammates how to do it. There's nothing cooler than that in sports. And oh yeah, a member of the armed forces, a New York Yankee. George Halas did it all, and really he's the beacon of hope for anybody trying to be great. You walk into this building, you have no choice but to try to be great. So George Halas, you can see his hat. You can see the way the football looked. They didn't quite rub the football down in 1963 with that Delaware mud we're so used to. It looked a little bit different back then. You can see the 1963 George S. Halas championship ring. The rings have gotten bigger, but I'll tell you what, this one's important. You can see this quote up here on the wall. Nobody who ever gave his best regretted it. George S. Halas. You're gonna tell me you're gonna get ready to go out to practice, you're gonna read that, and you're not gonna give me everything you got? It's easy to work hard when you're a Chicago Bear because of the history and the great men and women that have come before us here at this very building. I mean, look, you can tell by this hallway that everything's shiny, everything's new. When I think Chicago Bears, I think about old school, I think about tradition, but I give a ton of credit to ownership and the staff here. They've made this thing feel like the future, and that's what we're gonna see with Ben Johnson coming into town, Caleb Williams, the #1 pick, a lot of investment in this football team. Things are changing. It's not necessarily transitioning. No, we're flipping this thing on its head. I'm so excited to be here and just take you through Halas Hall. So many long walks to the training room from meetings to practice happen in this hallway. So they can change the paint, they can change the layout of the building, but regardless, this is the walk I would take every day. Some days I'd be limping, some days I'd be feeling really good, but at the end of the day, when you're with 52 of your best friends and a great staff in the best sports city in America, it's fun regardless. I don't care how bad your limp is. Come on with me, we got a lot more to look at here. Aaron, can you help me out here? I'd love to take my weight today. The fine people at home would like to know what I weigh. So this is really cool. You can check this out. There's an iPad here with every face and name and picture. So let's just say I'm X player. I come over here, I find myself, I click on it, I step on the scale. I don't have to write anything down. It immediately goes to the strength and conditioning staff. They know what my weight is. If they want to test my body composition, there are a dozen ways for them to do that in the strength and conditioning program over there. I haven't done this in a while. Well, you can tell Ben Johnson, the big dog's 310 pounds. I'm ready to roll. You just let me know, coach. Now that I get to cover the National Football League, I find new things every week that I miss about football, whether it's playing, whether it's laughing with my friends, whether it's hanging out early in the cold tub. The thing that I miss the absolute most is the NFL locker room. And if you've never been in one, I can't sit here and explain it to you today, but I'll tell you what, you'll never have a group of tighter buddies. And right behind me here is the Chicago Bears locker room, brand new from when I played. Well, now the Chicago Bears outfit, they're doing things a little bit differently. This looks like a NASA space station of sorts. They've got ventilation in every locker to make sure you don't smell like a foot, okay? You've got 100 guys ready and willing to help you out with anything you need. Socks, sweatbands, swag bands, and that's why they've got this awesome locker room to be able to get these guys everything they need to have community and be prepared to play the game that we know and love. Okay, so I've told you guys about the locker room. We looked at the atrium, a lot of history. Sometimes you gotta just get away from it, you know? Maybe you had a great practice and you're in a good mood. Maybe you had a terrible practice and you need to just decompress a little bit. Well, the Chicago Bears have provided their players with an opportunity to have a place just like that. That's the player lounge. Follow me into here. This is a lot of fun. You can come in here and do so much more. Fantastic area to come fellowship with your other players. They've got PlayStations, Xboxes, ping pong tables, got air hockey, multiple things you can do over there, basketball wise, pop shot. But I think the main thing is these couches are really comfortable behind me. And sometimes you just need to get off your feet and take your shoes off. That's a good way to do it. And behind you on the wall is actually, I think people lose sight of the fact of how they get into contact with their favorite players. Here on the wall behind me, you can see a cubby with numbers for each of these players. If you send mail to a player, it ends up in the mailroom. The mailroom brings it here, and the players have an opportunity to do with it whatever you would like or whatever they would like. I just always thought that was really cool, and it's right here. So you take a break from football, and you can help out, get connected with the fans, or just get connected with your teammates in here and chill out for a little bit. You know, one of my favorite things about coming back to Halas Hall is seeing my old friends. But as the days grow, there's less and less guys that I can say, oh, hey, buddy. But you know what the beauty of it is? When I left, there were still young guys that inherited new young guys. And I meet them here at Halas Hall and they say, hey, you played with this guy. He told me all about you. I got to keep my distance. I just love that, okay? Passing the torch on one psychopath to another. I love the offensive line, and I love being able to bridge the gap between eras. I showed up today, Peanut Tillman was in the building. When I was a rookie, Peanut Tillman was a veteran. What a leader, what a legend in Chicago, and there's so many legends that are making their way back to practice. When I first got into the league, all the 85 Bears that used to come back to practice, you're telling me that doesn't get you fired up to do a little something extra in team period? Well, now all the guys that are like me and have been retired in the last decade, they're coming back to practice. Something about the Bears facility that I love, and I love that the McCaskies always bring back their old players. Open door policy. I love this place. You know, one of the unique things about the Chicago Bears for a very long time is that they used to go away to training camp. They go to small colleges, sometimes Wisconsin. In recent memory, when I was on the team, it was Bourbonnais, Olivet Nazarene University. Little dorm room beds, all that kind of stuff. Simple, go away, get tough at camp. But now they've made the investment to be able to bring training camp and all those awesome Bears fans right here to Halas Hall. The experience I had today, getting to watch kids, parents, every fan of the Navy and Orange out here screaming for their favorite team, it's pretty special. When I got drafted in 2013, these were the same fields that we practiced on, but quite literally, if you take a look around me here, everything's brand new. Weight room, every single wall, window, rivet, and screw in this place is brand new. This is the new era of the Chicago Bears. One of the first things that I noticed when I came to the facility to come watch practice today is that players come out in those 4 doors over there, from the weight room, from the locker room, and they have to make their way to the fields way over in the distance. When I was a player, we used to walk our big old wide butts over there. Now they got a fleet of golf carts to take them over. There are countless staff making sure that these guys are not straining until practice happens. It seems science has caught up in Chicago, and I love it. A really, really unique thing about this place is this gentleman right here, George Halas, a Renaissance man, a rare, rare man. And it's somebody that you really have to set your mark on every single day when you're entering Halas Hall and you're embarking on this journey that we call the NFL. Thank you. There are so many places at Halas Hall that are just treasure troves of history. And if you're a big Bears fan like I am, a former Bear, you swell with pride when you walk these hallways. And just behind me, this is the top players and coaches. That's in the bold print right there, large font for you to see. And there are so many legends. If you come in here and take a look at some of this stuff, starting from left to right, we've got the Ed Block Courage Award, which it's named after Ed Block, longtime Indianapolis Colt trainer. And it's given to a player that exemplifies toughness and grit, determination in the face of adversity. And you can see here last year's winner right here from the Chicago Bears, Kyler Gordon, who we saw just a couple minutes ago upstairs. You just take a look at these pictures. Walter Payton here, Richard Dent. You know, obviously I never got to meet Walter Payton, but guys like Richard Dent, they would come to practice. They'd come dap you up and say, hey, 75, I really like your game. And you don't know what to say when a legend comes up and says something like that, but it's really special to be part of this fraternity with the Chicago Bears. And that's just in recent memory. You go further down the wall, and it's the names that you really start to recognize. Mike Ditka, not the coach. Mike Ditka, the tight end. Check that out. A lot of these historical nuggets here at Halas Hall. It's great stuff. Get a load of these guys. Over here. You guys know these guys? Huh? Yeah? What do they say? The Bears. That's what they say. Pop culture, Chicago Bears. What's more pop culture than the Windy City and the Chicago Bears, the monsters of the Midway? It's obvious that people love the Bears because we keep showing up in the media, okay? Here we are in the PNC Center, or as I like to call it, the press conference room. Big room, but it's filled out sometimes for Bears fans. Just a few months ago, we saw guys like DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, and all those great players sitting right here watching Ben Johnson standing right here, getting ready to introduce the media for the first time as the Chicago Bears head coach. And let's hope, as a Bears fan, that this is the last introductory press conference we see for a head coach for quite a while. A common theme that I continue to talk about at Halas Hall is history and how it guides the future. Well, when you come into Halas Hall as a player, there are a few rooms that just speak to you in a different way. You can feel the energy. This is a hallway we're standing in. This is where players enter the building. And you can see I'm flanked on both sides with these big illuminated numbers. What are the numbers? These are the Chicago Bear Hall of Famers that have come before us as players. And it serves as a reminder that nothing's impossible. And if you walk in here with the right mindset and get after people, you might also be on this wall one day. And you know what I really don't understand? Well, you know what? I don't like it. There's not a 75 on the wall. Who's going to be the next guy from this year's team that ends up with their number on this wall?